going on, guys? I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Bailey Hunt.
It's good to see you guys. It's been a little bit.
It's been a bit,
yeah.
You know? But we are here to talk about one of my most anticipated films of the years. I know probably one of yours too.
Yep.
Star Wars Rogue One. I just thought this would be a better format to talk about this movie, is more of a discussion, because this is a spoilers review. Right up front, talking about spoilers. We're going to bring up everything that is in this movie, so if you haven't seen the film, you know, go see it. Go freaking go see it.
Why you guys haven't seen it yet? It's Monday after
it's
the week
Monday.
between,
You've had the whole weekend to see this movie, and you're watching YouTube instead, so get out of here and go watch the movie. Okay, so I know one of my favorite things about this movie is how it transitioned into The New Hope, and it kind of fixed some problems that are with The New Hope.
Yeah, just kind of like the outdatedness of the exhaust port of the Death Star. It retroactively fixes the I guess on the surface silliness that brings to the table.
Because Galen Erso, he's like, I know I'm not really going to get out of this whole situation with the Empire, so instead of having them kill me or just me give up, this is going to be the best form of revenge that I have, is to make this exhaust port. Which I really thought was really clever and really smart. And I think that was like one of the main focuses of this movie, is to kind of fix things about A New Hope, which I had personally said I think that this movie would make maybe a better book. When it's a 2.5 hour long movie, just to kind of retroactively fix A New Hope, I think that it kind of detracts. I think that was a big focus of this movie, was like, hey, what can we fix about the future movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's also just like a cool little story of introducing the opening crawl to A New Hope, getting I suppose, used to new characters that we just kind of had to say hello and goodbye to in one fell swoop. So.
Right. People have been saying, like, the character development is so minimal in this movie because they're introduced and they die.
You don't want to get used to
which, is that a good excuse?
I mean, not necessarily, but I think people had a lot of issues, even with yourself, had some issues with the characters that I didn't know if I didn't have, but I guess I liked the characters more than a few people did. Yeah. Like, I can recognize Baze, who's the dude with the big gun that you're just gun, like, he just had a big gun,
his character's literally, I have a cool gun.
Yeah, but like, I think characters like, I did not expect much from Jin at all based on the trailers. I think she had like a lot of like, I rebel, like those kind of lines.
Yeah, a lot of those lines, like leading up to this movie, I was really worried about. I was like, she could suck.
They picked a lot of weird scenes for her that actually weren't even in the movie.
Yeah.
But you had, like, you know, Cassian Andor, who kind of shows that side of the rebellion that's like, not everything's all clean. Like, he's just going to kill guys who can't get out of situations.
I thought he was very Han Solo-esque, because when we first meet Han Solo, one of the first things that he does is he shoots Greedo, like, right in the face.
Murders
he's totally different than everyone else. He has that. And he, even just some of the imagery, like him, like leaning up against the wall, like with his, his like pistol right here.
Yeah.
I thought he was a very, Han Solo-esque kind of character. And something that I had seen, and I had pointed out to you, is it's not always the smoothest transition into Episode 4, because the end of this movie ends with Darth Vader getting on that ship and, ignites his lightsaber, and it's an awesome scene.
Destroys those guys. It's amazing.
And that one guy, that guard's like, help us, and then he turns around, see his buddy get cut in half on the ceiling, turns around and goes, just take it, because he's immediately like, I'm not going to make it out of this,
he goes from help me, then he goes, never mind, I'm not going to make it through,
take
buddy.
It, please.
One of the favorite parts of that scene is when he, like, Vader throws somebody on the ceiling, kind of like forgets about him, and he's like, I forgot about that guy.
So awesome.
The beginning of the movie makes people in A New Hope stupider.
Yeah.
Because they deny like they had the plans. Yeah, Leia's like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Vader gets on the ship, and he's like, where are my plans? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
And like, we just saw him with the
Vader
plans.
literally was just on the ship, like, looking at the ship, like, flying away, and he's like, crap. And that's the end of the movie. So, I think it maybe would have been better if the plans got on an X-Wing, and, you see that X-Wing give it to Leia. Yeah. Because then, it's like, because that ship that Leia's on is not really a movie-specific ship. It's like it's a rebellion ship. It's a rebellion, like, cruiser. So, I think that would have been better, because that could have been, like, he's checked out several ships, trying to find out this thing. Whereas, the way this one sets it up, because this movie ends literally probably like 2 minutes in between.
2 or 3 minutes right before New Hope begins.
Yeah.
which is cool. Like, it really sets it up so where you can, pop in Rogue One and be like, oh, I'm gonna watch A New Hope, and then continue with the original series.
Yeah. Well, what did you think about Leia? What did you think?
Well, I thought, okay, was talking about first. We'll talk about the CGI characters in general, and then we'll talk about Leia. I thought when you first see Grand Moff Tarkin for the first time
in the window.
I think that he. It's weird because you're like, Peter Cushing, you are dead, sir. Like, what are you doing on screen? And so it's a little weird at first, and you can kind of tell that he is I call it Christmas caroled into the movie, where he's like, it's very mocap, but it's realistic mocap, and unless you're like a huge fan or looking very intently, you won't be able to tell that it's him. But like throughout the movie, he gets like better. Like he like starts looking more natural into the movie.
Well, what I've said is like, if you go into that expecting him to be, you literally cannot tell the difference.
Right.
We're
not that far.
Not that far, and I would rather them at least try to do that, rather than them just not have him in it at all. Or an alternative that I think could have helped is have Vader be more of a presence, because Vader could have been in a lot of those Tarkin scenes.
Well, it's weird because like they had talks of reshoots, and they had the writer from like Michael Clayton, I forget the dude's name. He came in very last minute and started doing reshoots, and apparently it was to add more Tarkin into the movie. So I know you're a big Ip Man fan. How did you feel about Chirrut Imwe or Donnie Yen in the movie?
I liked his character. I thought it was interesting because you didn't really know a whole lot about him, but you knew enough to where it kind of intrigued you, because you're like, does he know all the Force? Does he? Does he not? I wish, however, though, he would have used his hands a little bit more, because if you've seen Ip Man, the dude has lightning fast hands. You got a nice hint at this movie of like what he can do, and I was like, oh, that's cool, because it was cool to see him like beating up on stormtroopers, and I liked how if you pay attention when he hits them, you can kind of see their masks like break off a little bit, which was awesome. And I liked that part where he kind of like pulls out the gun and shoots that TIE fighter, and it like crashes into the turret. And I did like his relationship with Baze. I thought they had you could tell that there was history behind them, and that brings us back to like, did we need all this character setup, or was just these people knowing each other good enough? And personally, I would have liked a little bit more.
Yeah, I would too, and whether that's going to come into a book or a comic book, that remains to be seen. But like, I think this movie could have stood by itself and kind of introduced these characters and fleshed them out a little bit more. I understand the purpose of why we couldn't flesh them out all the way, because they were going to die at the end anyway, and it probably would have broken some hearts. But if I would have cried or shed a tear at any of these deaths, it would have meant something, because I would have had a strong connection to this film in particular.
Right. And I think with these spin-off films, I would like to see them branch off a little bit. I don't want to. I liked Rogue One. It was a fun story. I had a good time.
I liked Rogue One too.
Again, I know what happens. I know how it ends. I know that they get the plans. Like, even before going into this, I was like, they're all gonna die. They're gonna get the plans, and I just didn't know what the journey would be.
Yeah.
And I would like to see a story that I don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
And the Han Solo thing, I'm like, it's gonna be cute, and people are complaining, oh, there's so much fan service in this, and it's like, guys, what do you expect? You know, like, you have two possibilities. You have, fan service with Leia and Tarkin and C-3PO and the guys from Mos Eisley Cantina, or you have none, and then people would go, where's Darth Vader? Where's Princess Leia? You know, it's like, either, be happy with something.
Yeah, and okay, so I would, the last two movies I've seen in the last two movies I've seen in theaters have been Rogue One and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Yeah. And those are two movies this year that I'm a big Harry Potter fan and a big Star Wars fan. Those movies were great to me, but to other people like yourself, you probably wouldn't enjoy Fantastic Beasts, for example, that much. And we talked to a friend of ours today, and she was like, I didn't get it. And I was like, because the movie's for us.
It's for the Star Wars fans.
And that's not a really great way to market a movie. That's why it'd be a better book, or even a branch off of Rebels, because the fans watch that anyway. Yeah. And we're not dropping...
That's what I'm saying. If you're not going to have a casual Star Wars fan be like, what's Catalyst? interest. I'm gonna read that. You know what I mean? I think it would have lent itself better to a book.
I agree.
With the whole fan service thing, I didn't find any of it like distracting. You know, like the C3PO thing, I was like, cute. That was fine. And then I've won on 12 systems. I was like, haha, that's funny.
And then there's the walrus face and his friend from the cantina.
Yeah,
you're like,
I didn't find it. Like, for example, the new Ghostbusters. I found that really distracting and just annoying and kind of insulting, whereas with this, I was like, it's fine, you know? Mm-hmm. I would personally just rather see a Knights of the Old Republic movie. But when they're like, oh, we want a Han Solo movie, I can just see that reading the comments now. It's too much fan service. Oh, remember the Kessel Run? Remember Lando? Yeah. It's like...
Member berries.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want these stories that I know how they're going to end. I don't need a Han Solo movie. I didn't need, why was the Death Star this thing? Like, you know, I don't need it.
Yeah.
That's what the thing is like, I didn't need a 2.5 hour long movie to answer these questions. It was nice to have one, and it's fine to have one.
Right.
But when you subject these movies to such a massive amount of people, people start to like tear it down.
Right, and I've been watching YouTube videos afterwards, like little film theories of like what this movie could have been, and I would have thought it'd been really, really cool if they introduced characters in this movie that like fed into the new trilogy a little bit, and that way like people made theories that like the cast of Rogue One could have been the Knights of Ren, and that could have been like a really, really cool thing.
Stupid.
Which is absolutely ridiculous, totally absurd.
Yeah, like 9-year-old people are like Knights of Ren.
That could be that. Yeah. But like I think it would have been cool if they introduced characters. Even Max von Sydow's character from Force Awakens, maybe he had been in Rogue One. You could be like, that's where that guy came from. That would have made sense. But instead, it's just like this one-off movie that I might watch once or twice more and then never again because I don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't really add much to the table except for some world-building stuff, like it, you know. But
yeah, because when I was watching the movie the second time, I found myself just looking forward to the end, and not to like, oh, please get over. I was just like, that's the best part of this movie.
The Scarif battles.
Yeah, I just want to see the Scarif battle and all that stuff.
Darth Vader nonsense.
Yeah, with the Scarif battle, I loved it. I thought it was great. This whole movie had this aura, and when I left it, I was like, it was good, but it could have been so much better. It had so much potential to be amazing because you have Darth Vader and. I thought he was used well. I like the scenes that he was in, but you have Darth freaking Vader.
Yeah.
Like, he could have done so much cool stuff in this movie. I like the scene that he was in, but he could have been, like, a massive force in the ending of this movie.
No pun intended.
Huh?
No pun intended. You said massive force.
Massive, force. Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, and we were talking before the movie that you wanted to see Darth Vader do things that like we'd really never seen him do before, like rip, like a TIE fighter, not TIE fighter, an X-wing
out of the air. Can you imagine how cool that would be? Because there's a scene, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's Vader time. A ship lands, and the thing opens, and then Death Troopers walk out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's Death Troopers, and I was like. I was waiting for Vader to come out and just be a total surprise.
Yeah.
And him just, like, take an X-Wing, it's, like, shooting at him and stuff, and he just, like, stops it and just, like, slams it down. Can you imagine if that was, like, Red 5?
Yeah.
Red 5's flying at him, like, and he just, like, stops it and just slams it on the ground. Like, that could have been so cool.
Stuff really done, like, in, like, video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just want to see... I wanted Vader... Like I've said, the Vader stuff that they did was fine. I thought he fit well into this movie, but I'm like, it could have been better.
So yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see Vader ever again.
Well, James Earl Jones is... I don't want to see Vader without James Earl Jones. And I don't want to be, like, morbid, but James Earl Jones is old. Yeah, like, he's an old man.
And his voice is kind of even shot.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It did in the movie. I noticed it the second time. I was like, he sounds a little old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's James Earl Jones. He's a legend.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was in this movie. But it shows a little bit. And I think if this is your last chance to show Darth Vader, he needs to be a presence in this movie.
Well, and even, like... Okay, so... Of the entire movie, you see... Director Krennic, and he's like this force, this confident, and he just exudes confidence.
Yeah.
And when he goes to Mustafar, what I think is Mustafar, and talks to Vader, he's
great
like
scene.
quivering, like he's so scared.
And
he's not scared of anybody.
Shadow. The door opens and it shows the shadow.
That's a great shot.
Like, God, it's because Krennic's kind of like complaining, and Vader just gets closer, and then he's like, Oh my
Yeah,
god.
and he starts to choke him. He says, "Don't choke on your aspirations."
How do you feel about that line?
I think it's a little too cutesy for the scene.
A little too cutesy.
It's like, I
was Vader's punny.
Yeah, it's like your tension broke a little bit, but he's Vader, so he can kind of do whatever he wants to do. One of the main problems with this movie is it kind of works in this structure where instead of like a, they have like a beginning, middle, and end, and it's like a planet structure. So like at the beginning they're on Jeddah, and it's very exciting, all that nonsense.
Yeah,
and then
they're on
they move to Edu, and things kind of slow to like even like a halt. Like it takes a little bit for it to pick off again after that. So instead they could have, to really keep the action rolling, they could have done what you were saying.
And I was even saying in my review, it's not that the characters are so uninteresting that I was bored. The characters were sufficient in this movie. They just could have been better, and I expect more from Star Wars, because Star Wars has some of the best characters ever.
Right.
And I just found these characters, they were sufficient. I think, and I had said in my episode 4, characters aren't that fleshed out. Luke is like, I'm a kind of a whiny farm boy. He doesn't really get his arc until the
later.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leia's kind of like, oh, I'm a princess, but I'm also kind of tough.
I got attitude.
Yeah, and then Han Solo's like, oh, I'm just a sarcastic, Han Solo type, And I was thinking that this movie could have had them do more exciting things, because the beginning of the movie, they're like, oh, we need to find Saw Gerrera. They find Saw Gerrera, and then they leave. And then they're like, okay, now we gotta find your dad. And then they find their dad, and then they leave.
Yeah.
And then they go back to the Yavin 4, and then they're like, okay, let's go get these plans. And then it picks up. I wanted, these characters had no force at all. They didn't feel important. It's not on purpose, I swear. they didn't feel important. I think because when they're with Saw, they're just like sitting in jail, and Jin's like looking at the hologram, but they're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And then when they go to Edu, you have Cassius is like about to snipe Galen Erso, and then his daughter pops up, and she's like, "Dad," and then the X-wings come in.
It's like,
So they don't get to do much in this movie until the end, and I think that if that would have saved this movie and the pacing problems. Because I didn't feel like the movie had poor pacing. I was just like...
It just drags in the middle.
They need to do more.
Yeah.
So it's not that like Gareth Edwards did a poor job pacing it. I was like, just more stuff needs to happen.
I thought, speaking of Gareth Edwards, I think that the direction of this movie is pretty outstanding.
Oh yeah,
like,
I thought this was one of the best shot Star Wars movies.
Cinematography, like the beginning, like when he's like walking through like wherever the Ursos are stationed, there's like that like wide shot, and they're walking up. It's really, really great,
gorgeous,
and it shows the scale of the Empire really well. And like every time a Star Destroyer would pass in front, and like the Death Star would reveal itself.
Well, the Death Star also eclipsed the sun.
Yeah,
that was great.
One really cool shot at the end of the movie is when. It's when Jen and Cassian are sitting on the beach, and you can see the explosion coming towards them, and then it shifts up to Krennic, and he's looking at the Death Star like head on. He's like, "I'm going to die right now." I
didn't notice that the first time, but the second time it shoots on the planet, and then it like clips the tower.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that the first time because he's at the top of that tower,
right? And
it literally just like hits him first, and then it hits the planet. I didn't notice that at the first, but I was like, "Oh dang!"
Yeah,
I was like, "That dude was up there. He did not make it.
He's not around anymore."
Yeah.
Poor Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn, man, he didn't make it.
He did not make it.
So it said that we're gonna get these spin-off movies. We're gonna get Star Wars movies until like we die. Disney's want to rake in this money. What would be your ideal spin-off movie? Like, what would you like? I've always wanted to see this on screen.
I thought this ever since the original trailer for Star Wars: The Old Republic came out, and it was that really, really cool like 10-minute cinematic of the Sith attacking the Jedi Temple, and they have like this huge battle sequence. I want the next trilogy and series here. I want 10, 11, 12 to not be sequels. I want them to be Knights of the Old Republic movies. And I want them to be like explain the Darth Bane rule of 2, because people don't understand that there can only be 2 Sith at one time.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to really, because that could really flesh out the mythology instead of just, we're moving kind of backwards and we're just kind of like, how did Han Solo, become a person?
Yeah.
Like, there's things about this world that is huge. It is centuries and centuries old that people don't, a millennium old that people don't know.
And that's something that I really liked about Episode 7, is they weren't like, hey, let's just hang out with Han Solo.
Right.
Han Solo passes the torch to the next generation. We get these new characters, which was something that I loved about Episode 7, is these new, really great characters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would absolutely want to spend 3 movies with these people. I don't want to spend 3 movies with the Rogue One characters, and I'm glad we don't have to, because they bite the dust. But something that I would love to see a Padawan go through the whole process. I want to see him be the Padawan, get his master, then do the trials, make his own lightsaber, do stuff like that, which could be. Some people might be bored by that, but I think that could be a really great character study.
Well, maybe that's what we're getting with the new trilogy, because Rey has to become like a Padawan. Like,
you think so?
She's not like a trained Jedi yet, you know?
I don't know if... Well, what frustrates me is... Okay, we have two scenarios. Either they're going to do what I want to see and see this character learning and doing all that stuff, or we're going to start off episode 7 and she's going to be like, she's going to be jacked up and she's ready to... And she's already learned everything.
Yeah, and everything's...
Which is really unfortunate, but I know I can see it now. If they show them training and she's training with Luke, I can just hear what people are saying. They're going to be like, "Oh, now we're ripping off Empire Strikes Back."
Yeah,
learning with Luke,
right.
Which is so stupid. Yeah,
but
it's so frustrating.
And they could differentiate themselves in a way that, like, maybe Luke and her, like, they travel to, like, I don't know, different worlds and that kind of thing. Just explore that. But I am fearful of that as well. But I don't want her to just. Because
how frustrating would that be if she starts and she's already made her lightsaber and she's already ready to go.
It perpetuates the idea that Rey is just like a very capable person.
Yeah. If we've already started the movie, we don't get to have her arc. If we start with her arc here and start here, we're missing the middle of it.
And she's too cool of a character to just waste that time.
Yeah. If I don't want to because that's something that. Honestly, Empire Strikes Back. I mean, Return of the Jedi does that because Luke's got that fight with Vader, gets whooped, and then Return of the Jedi comes back and he's got the black suit. He's a total badass. You know, I want to see him complete their training.
Right.
I would love to see that process.
Yeah.
Because we never see Luke complete his training.
Right.
In Empire, Yoda's like, "Dude, you're not done," and he's like, "I gotta go save my friend. Sorry about that." You know.
Yeah. Like that would be a really cool movie, seeing a Padawan go through the process. But it's in a perfect world where we don't have Han Solo's.
And people are like, "Oh, I want a Boba Fett movie," and I'm like, "Yeah, do we really need one?"
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with go the Rebels route.
Yeah.
Do what Clone Wars did. You have Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Totally amazing character.
Yeah.
Not in Phantom Menace, he's not an amazing character, but then they brought him back because he was a fan favorite, and then they fleshed him out, and now he's amazing.
See, what I'm interested in is like. Darth Maul is in Rebels currently. Thrawn is in Rebels currently, and Ahsoka is in Rebels currently, or she's kind of AWOL.
Yeah.
But like, do we get to see these characters ever on screen again? Do you think we'll ever see Darth Maul come back with the Mandalorian Darksaber?
There's no way because you're gonna see people
get confused.
They'd be like, that guy got cut in half.
Yeah. What's he doing?
Yeah. Ewan McGregor cut him in half.
Yeah.
I just like. If people want a Boba Fett movie so bad, just put him in Rebels.
Yeah.
Put him in Rebels.
And I think they will at one point.
Yeah, just put him he could be like a Cad Bane-esque character, and just put him in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't Rebels is such a great outlet because you could dedicate an entire season to a character. Every character in the Star Wars universe doesn't need their own spinoff. I don't need an origin story of how did Han Solo get the Millennium Falcon. Where did Chewie get his bowcaster? How did they become friends?
Yeah, when did they do the Kessel Run 12 parsecs?
Yeah, it seems unnecessary, and especially when we have an entire galaxy of characters, I want to see these new characters do their own thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So overall, I really liked Rogue One. Actually, I liked it better the second time, but the problems that I had with it the first time, I still had.
Yeah.
Nothing was resolved. I just liked it better because I knew where it was going. I knew the destination. Mm-hmm. I liked it more. But the problems weren't resolved.
Right,
so.
I liked it a lot too. I liked it a little bit more than you did, but still we kind of have the same problems with it. It's not gonna break my top 10 or 20 of the year,
not even close
because there's better movies out there. But it's still like a solid addition. If you're a Star Wars fan, you need to see it just because it's Star Wars. So
yeah. It was sufficient for me. I don't need every Star Wars movie to be the best movie of all time.
Right.
You know,
can't be The Force Awakens every time.
Well, yeah. I mean, but even The Force Awakens, I have some problems with it, but it's fun. Yeah, it's Star Wars.
It's a great movie.
Empire Strikes Back is such a perfect film. New Hope is a really great movie, but it obviously has some problems with it because George Lucas was really young. He didn't have a huge budget. There's obviously problems with that movie. I'm gonna be the first one to say the movie's not perfect. There's Return of the Jedi. Obviously, the prequels aren't. I'm like, these movies are kind of goofy.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I don't need every single movie to be Citizen Kane.
No, it doesn't have to
be. Entertain me. Be 2 hours of fun.
Yeah.
And just show me something, show me something
fun,
new.
Yeah.
Yeah, these characters that I like. We got cool laser sword battles, people shooting each other with ray guns and stuff like that. It's science fiction. I just want it to be fun. It's just entertain me.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Absolutely.
So you guys can check out my review of Rogue One. That'll be at the end of this video. I'll provide a link for that. Let me know in the comments of what problems that you had with this movie, or something that you really liked. And you don't have to worry about spoilers because this is a spoiler video, so comment whatever you want.
Yep.
You can check out his channel. I'll leave a link for that in the description.
There's content occasionally.
Occasional content.
Occasional content. Garrett and I are going to be collaborating more in the future. Stay tuned for that.
This is a little taste.
Little taste of what's to come.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys for checking out today's video.
Thanks,
I hope
guys.
you liked it. If you did, click on the link down below. Subscribe to my channel to see more movie reviews, movie-related things. And thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.
See you next time.